Dawson's Rambles.
Hey YouTube, Dawson Rider here with more news from today's Power Rangers Fan First Friday. I think possibly the most unexpected news, because I kind of just expected them to go over lightning reveals and maybe round out the Dino cast, but we actually got our first look at the upcoming Dino Fury toy line, which was pretty cool, and also pretty cool to have something that wasn't scooped by the fandom. So first of all, we have the standard 6-inch figures. We just got a look at the core 3, which is red, blue, and pink, and then one of the villains whose name I forget. I'll put it up on screen, like I'll put a little. The main villain who was like Tonka Joe in the first arc of Ryusoulger, but we got our first look at those. I think they look cool. You know, I'm a fan of the basic figure line from Hasbro so far because I think they look good. I'm excited by getting more Ryusoulger articulated figures because I love the designs. We do seem to have some original weapons with them for both blue and pink, which is cool. I ended up making it in the show, even if it was only for an episode. And then there were some things that we just then assumed would show up in the show and didn't. So who knows? But for just the toys, they do have the original weapons, which is cool. And then we got confirmation about our version of the Ryusouls, which obviously, and you know, they have the helmets on the back just like before. Something that's probably going to send Sentai purists into a tizzy is the front is just like a holographic image instead of like a full-on mold, which is kind of disappointing. I can definitely see. I guess it was a cost-saving measure. I won't lie that I don't think it looks as good. You know, it looks a little bit cheap with that holographic image. Maybe, who knows, maybe they'll change it for a different one, but I was kind of hoping that maybe they would look more normal for like the Morpher and Megazord releases. Maybe they will, and you'll have like a full-on mold, and then like the figure ones. I see that being a possibility of them being different for the figure releases to save money, since it looks like they're coming with all the figures. And speaking of, since just like in Beast Morphers, the keys come with everyone, not just the Rangers, for the villain, we actually have villain keys, and they give them it just looks cool. I think it's a cool idea, and I'll be interested to see if they expand on it in any other area for a bunch of cool, different helmet swaps. And then, you know, all the ability ones just had a look at the Dino Fury Morpher, which is the same Ryusoul changer, and it kind of works the way you would expect, seemingly very similar to the Beast Morphers one. You know, it reads the keys, it does some motion activating noises and stuff like that. I'm thinking it's going to be a little bit better sound-wise than the Ryusoul changer, because it looks like it's going to be reading more keys in a possibly different way. I kind of hope it doesn't have the call to action like, morph, say whatever, you know, all that stuff. I kind of hope it just reads them, but if it has as much sounds, it was kind of, you know, basic and kind of lacking a little bit since they had all the sounds in the sword. It might end up being, like I theorized, where it's like a bit of a reverse, where the Morpher reads all the stuff and then the sword is just, when they were going over the demo, that it didn't play more sounds. He's like, getting ready for the big reveal of the noises, and it was like, rawr! And he's like, cool, right? It's almost like he thought there was more sounds programmed in it than there actually were. Then we have one other little bit before we get to the Zords, which are these battle attackers, which look to be more like a gimmicky figure, which honestly look like a halfway point between Rangers. Look a little bit blocky and big and kind of weird, but their whole gimmick is that they come with a monster that's basically like a minimally articulated vinyl figure that they can kick around, and it's funny so much, but that's kind of what it's like. So I guess it's kind of cool for people that want more monsters. Again, I don't care about Monsters of the Week, but I think it'll be a fun line for kids. I think it'll be something fun for them, and like for collectors, I think this might be a way to fill out more of the Monsters of the Week without having it being in the main line. So, you know, it's whatever, it's harmless. Then we did get our first look at the prototypes for the Zords, and we got some names. So the main, like, centerpiece for the Red Rangers is going to be called the T-Rex Champion Zord, and we only got a look at, like, literally the prototype, like the gray mold, but I think it looks pretty good. I mean, obviously we don't have paint, so we don't know how, like, svelte, and they talked a lot about how they liked the sort of acrobatics of the Ryusoulger mech and how they really wanted to bring it, and they show off that they're actually including more articulation in it, and I think that looks really cool. Like, I not only like how it looks, but I like it's going to be more articulated, so we might be able to get some cool poses like in the show. I think that's pretty neat. And I like the name too. I like that it's not just like Dino Fury T-Rex. The thing I want from this though is for it to show up in stores. As we know, the Beast Morpher Zords are kind of notorious for being MIA. You know, only a few of them showed up in stores briefly, and then you can't really find them. I think my biggest hope for this is just that it's actually more readily and widely available. And then they did show us a look at the other 4 Zords, you know, pink and blue, green and black, also in prototype. What they are, I'll put it up on the screen, but I think one of them was like the Tiger Claw Mega, Roxy like a Puma, for greens, and then you have, I believe it was the Stego Blade Zord. So it looks like they're turning Milneedle into a Stegosaurus, because if you weren't familiar, in Ryusoulger, they created their own dinosaurs. So like the Sabertooth was actually a Sabertooth type dinosaur, and then Black's was like a full-on new dinosaur called Milneedle. So it looks like they're just going to be calling it a Stegosaurus, since it does kind of look like a Stegosaurus, and not going with the original dino creation there. But those also I think look very good. You know, can't really say for sure because they didn't really give them too many details, but it looks kind of based on this that they might release T-Rex by itself and then maybe do like two packs, which could be pink and blue and then green and black, which they very well could. And even if they release them separately, I get a feeling they'll do a set as well. But I could see them releasing black and green by themselves or as a pack, but I was just kind of hoping to get all of the core 3 out of the way at once. But again, that's just speculation, but I think they look pretty good. So all in all, I'm looking forward to the Dino Fury line. You know, like I said, I like the look at the figures. I think the Megazords look really cool. I really like the idea of the more articulated ones. You know, it'll be interesting to see how the paint looks and how the feel of it is, because the Beast Morphers ones did feel a little bit cheap, but I like what I'm seeing. Again, my major concern is just that they actually show up in stores and stuff like that. And that's kind of just in general my main concern, is I feel like after the initial wave of Beast Morphers toys, everything just really, definitely nice to get a little bit of a surprise. I was going to say, it's something we don't know about. I mean, obviously we knew this was on the horizon, but I wasn't sure we were here. But they said fall, and I don't know if he meant fall of this year or fall of next year for the other ones. So there's a shots too. So I think that would be cool to be able to find those at the holidays, like the classic Bandai times. But anyway, guys,